We are tracking breaking news this morning about Boeing's 737 MAX jet crisis, the record amount that it is going to cost the company.
Also, the U.S. now expanding screenings for coronavirus at SeaTac Airport. The latest on that, and a new local patient that's being monitored now.
We're here. We're strong. We'll fight for safety all day long.
And the strike continues for thousands of Swedish nurses, staff members, other caregivers, what they plan on doing today and how it's impacting local emergency rooms.
This is Q13 News This Morning.
Great to have you here, 7 o'clock now on your Wednesday. I'm Bill Wixie.
I'm Liz DeWicki. MJ tracking our forecast this morning. Not too bad of a start out there, huh?
Yeah, but it's starting to, the rain is filling in just about everywhere now. It's 45 in Seattle. Normal low is 37. And we were dry momentarily in Seattle, but now the dry notch is kind of Everett-ish over to Whidbey Island. But lots of rain, especially coming in from offshore right now. Yeah, all around Lake Washington now we're wet. Everett, you're momentarily dry, but Tacoma, southward are wet, and then Skagit County northward. Basically, you're getting wet this morning, but we should dry up this afternoon. 50 for the high today, Seattle and Tacoma, 48 for Everett, Bremerton, and Bellingham. It's also pretty breezy/windy to the north. So jacket with a hood necessary as you step out. Pack the sunglasses, hopefully some sun breaks before the sun goes down at 5:06 p.m. Okay, I'll track the coming weather. Very wet in just a bit. Right now, Adam, how's that commute?
Yeah, I've been watching the delays for drivers trying to scooch their way in, basically into the King-Snohomish County line on southbound 5, southbound 405. The lineup's extending for us basically into the county line on both accounts, 5 and 405. And that's one of the tougher points we have to be watching out for. But still, we've seen about 70 minutes of drive time from Everett, about 70 minutes of drive time from Tacoma, getting into Seattle. And when we have a balanced system like that, you kind of go, well, okay, I mean, this is what it is. It's slow, but it's manageable. North 405, tougher on the Renton curves, and a little bit of congestion 405 and I-90 together. Liz and Bill, back over to you.
We are following breaking news this morning here. The 737 MAX crisis costing Boeing a total of $18 billion. The company announcing today that it lost $1 billion in the last quarter for grounding its best-selling plane. Revenue plunged 37%, and for all of 2019, Boeing lost $636 million. This is Boeing's first annual loss in 2 decades. The 737 MAX planes have been grounded since last March following 2 deadly crashes. The news coming a week after Boeing temporarily stopped producing the 737 MAX.
SeaTac Airport is now one of nearly 24 airports screening travelers for coronavirus, and these signs are now on display greeting inbound travelers before they get through customs. And they read, if you feel sick 2 weeks after leaving Wuhan, see a doctor and tell them you recently visited China. This morning, another patient in our area is being tested for possible coronavirus.
Yeah, the person being monitored at Northwest Hospital right near Northgate. John Hopperstad is live there for us this morning. John, good morning.
Good morning to you guys. Yeah, this person is here at Northwest Hospital in isolation right now. We're told that doctors are conducting tests, and we should have results of those tests in the next day or so. We do have a quote from Susan Gregg with UW Medical Center. She says that testing criteria developed by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention are designed to cast a wide net. Most people who have symptoms listed in the criteria will not have the disease, so they're optimistic that this person's test will come back negative. So far, we have seen a total of 16 people tested for coronavirus here in Washington State. 1 has been confirmed positive. That is that man in Snohomish County who had traveled from Wuhan, China. He's still in isolation at Providence Medical Center in Everett. 7 people have been tested negative, pending results right now on 8 people. If you have any concern, if you think you have symptoms, you should contact the Department of Health. They have a coronavirus call center set up right now. That number is 1-800-525-0127, and then press the pound sign. The University of Washington also had 3 students who had returned from China who were undergoing tests for coronavirus. We can tell you now that 2 of those tests have come back negative. They're still waiting on that 3rd test, and we should know the results of that in the next day or 2 as well. But this is enough of a concern here in our state that the governor, along with public health officials, will be holding a press conference in King County later today about the latest on coronavirus and how to prevent it from spreading here in Washington State. Guys, we'll spin it back to you.
John, appreciate the update. Thank you. Also, the number of people affected by the virus continues to grow. This morning, Omar Lewis is tracking those shocking new numbers coming to us from China, Omar.
Yeah, Liz, the confirmed number of coronavirus cases in mainland China jumped to nearly 6,000. The virus has now infected more people in China than the SARS outbreak there back in 2002 and 2003. So the death toll rose to 132 people now, too. So scientists say there are still many questions to be answered about the new virus, including just how transmissible and severe it is. Airlines around the world announcing they were cutting flights to China and Hong Kong is suspending rail travel to and from the mainland at midnight. So this morning, a plane evacuating 200 Americans from Wuhan, China is on its way to Southern California. That plane stopped in Anchorage, Alaska this morning, where those passengers passed a health screening test for the coronavirus. That's the latest here at the Live Desk this morning. We'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
Live look at Swedish Hospital's First Hill location in Seattle, and nurses and hospital workers are striking for a second day there. Thousands of them around the region started a 3-day strike yesterday. One spoke to us about patient safety concerns.
Just levels of staffing. I work night shift, and routinely being in the float pool, we're being absorbed into units because there is just no staff. You know, there will go 2 to 3 people down constantly, and they've just made cuts after cuts.
Negotiations between the caregivers and their employer, Swedish Medical Center, are stuck in a standstill, have been for the past several months now. And the hospital says they're offering an 11% wage increase. Nurses say that's a good start, but they need a bigger boost in order to increase staffing and to keep good workers. Otherwise, they tell us that patients will suffer. Now, Swedish has closed 2 of its 7 emergency rooms during the strike, and you can see those here in red. The Ballard and Redmond locations are scheduled to reopen Friday morning at 8, and the ER seen here in green, First Hill, Cherry Hill, Issaquah, Mill Creek, and Edmonds are open as usual. Ballard's labor and delivery unit also closed on Saturday in preparation for the walkouts. The health provider brought in replacement workers to make sure that the open ERs can function properly. Swedish spent $11 million to make that happen. And Swedish says the transition went extremely well. In their words, a march and rally planned for Seattle this afternoon. The march expected to start at 3:30 at the Swedish First Hill campus, with a rally at Westlake Park happening at 4:30 this afternoon. And the striking nurses say they will return to work on Friday morning.
We are losing hope. We're losing hope for the future of our city.
I don't want to live in a city surrounded by filth and criminals.
By council members.
The Seattle City Council Safety Committee meeting was packed with people yesterday following the most recent shooting downtown. 1 person died, 7 others were hurt when an argument turned to that shooting outside of that McDonald's on 3rd and Pine last Wednesday. 1 suspect behind bars, and police are still looking for these 2 here who are on the run right now, William Tolliver and Marquise Tolbert. Dozens of people frustrated with the violence signed up to speak at that meeting.
I think the sense of urgency is the most important element today, because we heard this before.
I used to tell my kids nothing good happens after midnight in downtown Seattle. Now it's day or night.
So Seattle Police Chief Carmen Best was also at this meeting addressing the crowd and the council with promising statistics that she says tell a different story about the city.
Across the city in 2019, we saw a 3% decrease in violent crime, a 5% decrease in property crime, and an overall 5% decrease in major crime. I've heard the statements before.
I need
Please
silence,
allow me to finish.
A lot of people say that they are not happy with that response, telling officials what they see: random assaults, harassment, public defecation, and open drug use happen almost on a daily basis.
7:08 right now, kind of gusty and rainy to start our Wednesday.
Yeah, we're starting with a little breezy in Seattle, windier to the north. It's 45 degrees and the rain is filling in once more. We're reaching all the way down to Hawaii for our weather. This atmospheric river pouring that tropical rain over us. It's mild, it's wet. We're a little bit rain shadowed right now over Whidbey Island, Camino, and of course Squim. But the rain is really filled in around Seattle and Bellevue. Maybe a little bit lighter up there as we head toward Linwood, but for the most most part, it's really wet in King County, Pierce County, Tacoma, Puyallup, Auburn, Spanaway, Lakewood, JBLM, DuPont. Very wet. Olympia, southward wet. Looks like a dry notch around Centralia. And out to the south coast, that dark green there, moderate rainfall. Not as bad to the north. Linwood, Everett, up to Arlington, mainly dry, but farther north, pretty wet. Skagit County, Whatcom County, the San Juans, and then from Neah Bay to Port Angeles. Like I said, right now, Sequim still dry, rain shadowed, protected by the Olympics. By lunchtime, we're still really wet. Looks like we're going to start to dry up, though, on the north coast, the back edge of this thing marching through. And eventually, by the evening commute, we look mainly dry, maybe a little extra rain in a convergence zone in King County. Then overnight tonight and tomorrow morning, look at that. We start out with mainly clearness, but later on in the day, here comes the next round of rain showing up for the evening commute tomorrow. So it's opposite day. And then overnight into Friday, we keep that chance of rain around. And wow, does it warm up around here. It's kind of crazy. Today, 50 for Seattle and Burien, 49 Bellevue, Redmond, 48 in Bremerton with the morning rain, tapering off to showers and hopefully some sun breaks before the sun goes down. We start out dry tomorrow, and then we get afternoon and evening rain overnight into a rainy and breezy and mild Friday. 57 for the high. Some of us could hit 60 on the last day of January. Saturday and Sunday looking very wet right now. 53 on Saturday. Notice the cool down on Groundhog Day, 44 with overnight lows around freezing and with a slight chance of showers, especially Tuesday morning. We might get a flurry. Too far off to know for sure. Speaking of flurries, this is Port Angeles with the big snow. We get so many photos. I just want to show a couple more. You can see it on the garbage cans. Like about 20 inches of snow. Crazy stuff. The cars are disappearing. That's not happening again, just so you know, at least not in the next 7 days. Here's Adam.
Yeah, so this morning, watching what's been happening for drivers on I-5 closer in towards the 18 area, getting a feel for what's just kind of been heavy volumes for drivers trying to squeeze their way through the south end. Now also getting reports of some problems here. Let me show this to you, clicking to it live in Everett. South 5, there you have it, right around Marine View Drive, watching for a collision that's over to the right shoulder. So South 5 about to see some more congestion for drivers getting out of the north. That's just unfortunate, right? So keeping our eyes out in and through the north. Meanwhile, the delays continue for us. Tacoma, Puyallup, usual backups extending for us, now getting up to into the 81-minute range from Tacoma to Seattle. This doesn't really surprise me a whole lot. It's unfortunate, but it's getting up there, but it's still a fairly balanced go. Valley Freeway, I-5 finding their tangles. 405 Renton curves, 52 minutes getting from, say, SeaTac into Bellevue, SeaTac into Seattle at 41 minutes of drive time. Floating bridge decks, 520 and I-90 westbound both have a little bit of a stream getting out to the water. And when we actually start adding up travel times here, 77 minutes Everett into Seattle. Everett to Bellevue right around that 74-minute mark as well. Liz and Bill, back over to you.
Adam, thanks. 7-Eleven coming up next. Excitement builds as we inch closer to Super Bowl Sunday. We're giving you a sneak peek at how the NFL is gearing up for its final game in its 100th season. Also, the big day would not be complete without the snacks, of course. Breaking down America's most popular choices and how much the average viewer eats during the game alone.
And speaking of snacks, Super Bowl is prime time for avocado hand, the dark side of 7-layer dip. Don't go to the ER, oh my gosh, after this.